Hey guys, it's Aria. One of you actually commented on my last ACT reading video if I could post a video of myself actually solving an ACT reading passage, just a random one, and the process I go through, how to answer all the questions so you can make sure you get everyone right. And I thought that was a very helpful video idea and it can help a lot of you, so that is what I'm going to do here. The passage is in this official ACT prep guide. I have the 2016-2017 version. However, I think the 2017-2018 version has the exact same reading passages. And the passage I am on, it is in the first practice test available in here. The first reading section is the first passage. It says literary narrative. The passage is adapted from novel A, Map of Home by Randa Jar. And this is what it looks like. It is this passage right here. Actually, the page number might just be helpful. It's page 72 of the official ACT prep guide. Like I said, I have the 2016-2017 version, but I think any version will work. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this passage without looking at any of the multiple choice questions. Definitely don't look at the questions beforehand. You're just wasting your time. So I'm going to go through the passage. I'm going to mark up all the stuff that I think they might test, stuff like details that are important. If you haven't watched my first video, how to get a 34 in the ACT reading section, I highly recommend you do that before watching this one, because a lot of the strategies that I use here I actually talk about in that other video, but that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go through this passage and then I'm going to tackle the multiple choice questions. Okay, so starting from the first paragraph. So she's talking about the day she was born. Her father, Baba, he was filling out her birth certificate. He didn't know her sex, but he had always known he was a boy for some reason. Oh, he had spoken to me as a boy earlier. So for the name of child, it was Nidal. It was not his grandfather's name, so it must be a family tradition or something like that. Then the rest are just small details. So once he's filled out the forms, he went to the nurse. He was in flip-flops. A lot of details here. Racing up the elevator. Okay, he went to go see the baby's mother, his wife, I'm assuming. How is my queen? So he's talking to the mom, but then his brow furrowed and he was already out the door running away. So he's running towards something. Something happened there. He was screaming for Rhonda, who was the nurse, saying, "Help me, Rhonda." Rhonda came out with the birth certificate, and he added an I to the end of the baby's name. So something with the conversation with the mother, he needed to add an I. He made a realization that he needed to add an I to the baby's name. That's probably important. Then the mom got out of bed, and the dad is saying, "Nidali is such a beautiful name. Don't be rash. You can't be walking." So clearly there's some difference between the dad and the mom here over what the baby's name should be. Now they're saying the mom must not have fought long, or who knows. Clearly she doesn't know because she's a baby. Mama, who is the most superstitious of all humans. So there's some superstition in this family. So in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in paragraph 7, the narrator is talking about how the mom wanted to go to the city of Boston clerk to change the baby's name back, but she must not have, because at the end it says, "I still have my name." Whenever I imagine Baba, who was her father, running out just after my birth, like a movie star, he must have embellished. He liked to do that, tell stories that were impossible. So these stories are very embellished, apparently. And he apparently puts a lot of sadness into his stories. So embellishing and sadness. And that's the same thing with Mama, a reality that filled her with great sadness. So there's a lot of storytelling that goes on in this family. And then the narrator at the end says, this is kind of interesting, "I knew from the beginning that home meant embellishing. That's why I loved school. teachers were there, they taught us facts based on reality. So clearly the narrator is not into this whole embellishing household where the parents tell all these very detailed descriptive stories like this whole passage was about, and that's why she loves school, because they teach her facts and reality. I hope that was helpful, kind of going through the passage, showing you, I talked out loud, obviously I don't do that when I'm taking the real test. I want you to notice how I read out loud a lot of the topic sentences, because usually those contain a lot of the information, especially the details that they ask you on the ACT multiple choice questions afterwards. But yeah, that's kind of what goes through my head when I'm reading. Just like I said, the ACT test details, not a lot of conceptualization. So as long as you get the gist of the passage, just kind of make a mental table of where the details are and just fly through the passage and spend the majority of your time on your questions. All right, now I'm going to attack all 10 of the multiple choice questions. So the first says, this is on page 73, right after the passage, the point of view from which the passage is told is best described as that of, well, before I even look at the answers, I know it's from the perspective of the kid, but it's a first person narration because she uses I throughout the whole passage. So it's either going to be A or B. It can't be C or D because it says a third person. It has to be a first person narrator. And A says a first person narrator who recreates a story about her parents and the birth of their first child. Well, she is the child. And events which happened before the narrator was born. Well, that's not true. It's not before she was born. It was right after her birth was the whole changing the name and everything. So that can't be it. And B, a first-person narrator who offers insight into characters' thoughts and relates actions, that's for sure, mainly from a time she was too young to remember because she was a baby, which is why a lot of times in this passage she says, or who knows, or I'm not sure, because she was a baby. She probably didn't know all the facts. So one is going to be B. Number 2. The narrator mentions to a piece of lint and a flake of dandruff, primarily to, all right, well, I honestly don't remember where they mentioned the lint and flake of dandruff, and this is really good because this happens a lot. I'm going to go skim each line until I just see lint and flake of dandruff. So I'm going in the first paragraph right now. Okay, right at the end of the first paragraph, line 20. It was an onus he brushed off his then solid shoulders like a piece of lint or a flake of dandruff. So they're using some sort of simile here, like a piece of lint or flake of dandruff. So let's see what it is. Let's read the line before. Oh, so this was when, so his name, Nidal, was not named after his grandfather. It was an onus he brushed off. So onus like a tradition he brushed off. So when the dad named him, he didn't name him after his grandfather, which must have been a family tradition. He brushed it off like a piece of lint or flake of dandruff. So 2 is going to say, the answer is going to be J. Illustrate the casual way in which the narrator father ignored a tradition of naming their son after their grandfather. Number 3 says, based on the passage, Mama's reaction to learning the name Baba gave the baby can best be described as, well, Mama wanted to go to the city of Boston clerk and change the name. So clearly she did not like the name Baba gave the baby. So disapproval, for sure. Annoyance, maybe. Embarrassment, she wasn't embarrassed by the name. Shock, she wasn't really shocked. She was just disapproved and annoyed. So let's see, disapproval followed by resignation or annoyance followed by amusement. Well, I would not say she was amused at any point in this passage. Hopefully you can see that. It seemed like she was pretty stressed and saddened by what the dad gave the child's name, and she wanted to go to the city clerk but didn't because she didn't want to take the newborn through the heat of Boston. So it's disapproval followed by resignation. Number 4. The sequence of actions described in the 7th paragraph, lines 54 through 68, can best be characterized as, so then whenever they tell you the paragraph or line number, just go straight there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so paragraph 7 was the one actually I focused on when I read this passage because it's a lot of details. It's the one where Mama tries to go change the baby's name. So the sequence of actions can best be characterized as Baba's exaggerated amount of Mama's trip to the office of City of Boston clerk. Well, remember, Baba is not the one saying this. It's the baby, Nidali. So it's not Baba's exaggerated account, so that's wrong. A scenario the narrator imagines could have happened? Yes, that's a possibility. The story of how Nidali got her name from Mama's point of view. It's not Mama's point of view, like I said. It's the baby, Nidali's. So it can't be H. A memory that the narrator shares to reveal more about her personality. Well, there's nothing in there about the narrator's personality, so it has to be G, a scenario the narrator imagines could have happened. And that actually works because in the topic sentence of paragraph 7, she says, Mama must not have fought long, or who knows, maybe she did. So clearly she doesn't know because she was a baby, so it's a scenario a narrator imagined could have happened. Number 5, the narrator concludes that Mama didn't go to the office of City of Boston clerk based on the fact that Baba believed it would be unlucky to change the baby's name at that point. No, there's nothing said about that. Going there would have taken the baby out in a severe winter storm. I'm pretty sure it said Boston heat, not a winter storm, but we can always go back here and find that. Yeah, through the heat and the Boston, so it's not a winter storm. Mama had a tendency to change her mind quickly. Maybe, but I don't remember it saying anything about that. The narrator still has the name Nidali. Yeah, at the end of paragraph 7 it says, because I still have my name, so clearly it wasn't changed, so the answer is D. Number 6, in line 78, the phrase, these stories most nearly refers to, well, let's find line 78. 6, 7, 8. A reality that filled him with great sadness. So Baba put sadness into these stories. Well, remember, Baba likes to embellish and put sadness into all of his stories. So these stories refers to the conflicting stories about the origins of Nidali's name. No. Baba's notebooks and poetry. It says nothing about notebooks and poetry. The embellished tales Baba likes to tell. Yeah, it said right there that Baba likes to tell all these stories and that he puts sadness into them. So that's going to be the answer. According to the passage, which of the following emotions do Baba and Mama share regarding their professional lives? So we just said that Baba puts sadness into his stories. So now let's find a passage talking about Mama's stories. So paragraph 9, Mama likes to expose him. That passage. It says right at the end. So that's paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At the end of paragraph 9, it says a reality that filled her with great sadness. So at the end of paragraph 8, it says Baba put that sadness into these stories, and at the end of paragraph 9, a reality that filled her with great sadness. So they both share the emotion of sadness for some reason. So the answer is C. Of the following characters, which one does the narrator describe as the most superstitious? So I actually remember that they said Mama being the most superstitious, but if you didn't remember that, hopefully you made a little mental table of where they were talking about the characters. They talk about Mama mainly when she's going to the city of, like the City of Boston clerk or whatever, to change the baby's name. So you might want to go back to that paragraph, which was paragraph 7. It says, Mama must not have fought long. Does it say anything about her being superstitious? It does, right in the middle. Line 60, and maybe Mama, who is the most superstitious of all humans. So there, you have your answer. A is F. Number 9, the narrator most strongly suggests that Mama does which of the following? Baba tells her stories, yawns and rolls her eyes in boredom, goes about her business, ignores him, chimes in with exaggerations and white lies, or corrects him with the accuracy of details. So remember paragraph 9 was about Mama and her stories. It says, Mama liked to expose him. Well, first of all, there's your answer right there, like to expose him. So 9 is going to be D, corrects him about the accuracy of details. But if you want to read on in that paragraph, it just says about how the house was filled with Baba's stories, blueprints, and plastic models, and it was a reality that filled her with sadness. So really all it says is that Mama likes to expose Baba. It says nothing about her chiming in with exaggerations, yawning and rolling her eyes, or ignoring him, but it does say she likes to expose him. So there it is. And lastly, number 10. In the passage, the narrator makes which of the following distinctions? Well, 10 is F. Home is a place of embellished stories, whereas school is a place of facts and reality. Remember, that's the very last paragraph. That's why I love school. Teachers were there. They taught us facts based on reality. And if you remember, I think when I was going through the passage, I said, oh, that's really interesting. At home, there's a lot of embellishment and fiction, and teachers they teach us facts and reality. And that's why she likes school. So 10 is F, and there's no even need to read the rest of the answers. So I hope that was helpful to whoever who requested that video. It was a great idea. Hope that was helpful to many others. Please like and subscribe for more future college content. And if you guys have another idea for a next video, I'd be happy to make it. Just let me know. It can be anything about the ACT, the standardized test. I didn't take the SAT, so I'm not the best person to talk about it, but I can for sure talk about the differences between the ACT and SAT. I think I did in a past video too. Anything about the future college process, Common App, anything like that, just let me know in the comments.